Hello and welcome back to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gillen, and I am so excited about our topic and our conversation today because we are going to specifically talk about the rules that I do not follow anymore. And I want to invite you to listen to this podcast through the lens of what are some of the rules that I have been following that have maybe that are no longer serving me. Because what you're going to learn as we dig into today's episode and today's message is that these are rules that I've literally followed for decades, and they were extremely uncomfortable to let go of because, in my mind, they weren't just rules, they were facts, right? Like I'm using the word rules because we talk a lot about that in business therapy. The rules are made up. I have an entire like of two lessons on the rules that are made up. But like in my mind, these were truths, right? These were things that were true. They were facts. They were things I had tangible evidence to support that I still knew that I had to give up on this journey. So if you've not been here for a while and you're brand new to the show, first of all, welcome. But back in May of this year, I made the decision. It was an intuitive kind of guided moment where I was like, I'm going to build a wildly successful business doing only things that I love. And I'm going to actually document my journey. And that is going to be my entire business model, is literally just documenting my journey and sharing what's going on and sharing the things that I'm facing, because I believe when it comes to the energy game and playing in the world of energetics, that it is not work that we ever stop doing, right? So, so often our world lives in a model where like you have to go and you become an expert at something. And once you're finally an expert, you graduate to be an expert and then you can teach others. I don't believe that is true in this work because I believe we're all on a journey all of the time. And so it was just really important to me as the women who I guide through their own energetic journeys and their own personal development journeys to understand that I'm on a journey with you. But I'm also used to do very much a lot of what most of my clients did, right? So I come from a very traditional background. I had a 15-year corporate career, became a full-time entrepreneur in 2019, built a business to seven figures in 3 years, and everything broke, right? And that was really kind of when I started using energy work and repairing my relationship with a lot of things in my life, with business being the one that has been most pressing. I've repaired so many relationships. My life is so good in so many ways, but business was the one that still wasn't growing as fast as everyone else, as everything else. And I realized it was these rules and these truths and these facts that I was married to that were really keeping me from moving forward in a meaningful way. So, in the spirit of keeping it real and really documenting this journey, I'm going to talk about some really rules that were really deep rooted and why I don't do them anymore. And again, this is not telling you don't do these things. I'm telling you this. I'm sharing this with you because there are going to be things that are parallel in your life. I'm going to talk about things in my life, but you're going to be like, oh, this is this in my life for me. Um, because these shifts have not hurt my business at all. And that is the biggest fear that we have, right? If I stop doing this thing that in my mind is the thing moving the needle, then I'm going to fail. My business is going to fall apart, right? But what I have discovered is letting go of things that are no longer aligned have created more freedom, more joy, more space. And on top of that, results. Like it's not just, hey, I'm having more fun. It's I'm actually getting results, the same, if not better results that I was getting before, right? So if you have been trying to force yourself to follow a playbook and wondering why it feels like a grind, you're really going to love this message. And you're really going to love the spirit of this. But again, always listen through the spirit, because the first one I'm going to talk about is outreach, doing direct outreach in business. And this was such a big part of my journey. And so maybe you've never done outreach. Maybe outreach is something you've never considered. Maybe outreach is something that you love, but I want you to hear the energy underneath this. I want you to hear my attachment. I want you to hear my story, because again, for you, it may not be outreach specifically that you're doing, but there may be something else in your business that you're doing that's out of alignment, and wreaking a lot of havoc for you. So for me, again, it was outreach. And I built a whole career on outreach. Like I literally started selling radio advertising when I was 21 years old in Orlando, Florida, and was like given a list of names and phone numbers and told to start making cold calls. I cold called, I pulled doors. I literally built an entire sales career on being a hunter, being a business development person, going out and building relationships, networking, door knocking, cold calling. And then it led over to social selling, right? Creating content over on LinkedIn and doing outreach. That was a big part of what I did in my corporate career. And then when I got into entrepreneurship, nobody was doing those things. It was all about like content marketing and attraction marketing and fancy funnels and all that. And I was like, what are you guys doing? Like, this is so fucking complicated. Why don't you just go out into the world and talk to people and build relationships? They'll buy things from you. And I literally made my first, gosh, it was probably a couple million and a half, teaching people, networking and outreach and relationship building. And so, I mean, my entire career was built on this, right? Like all the money that I've brought into my own company, but also millions and millions of dollars when I was in corporate sales for 15 years, right? Was built through outreach, right? And I believed it was necessary. And for me, because I believed it was necessary and because I was good at it and I didn't have a lot of the feelings about it that a lot of other people did, it did in fact work for me. Again, I told you I had factual evidence that these things work, that these things get results because I had proof in my own life and my own business. And then on top of that, I went on to teach this to other people. And also they were able to take these tools and make them work. Right. So it was just this thing where it was like, but this works. But why would you not do this thing? You know that it works, right? It was one of the hardest things for me to stop doing because I knew that it worked. But over time, especially as I evolved into energy work, it started to feel disingenuous. It started to feel out of integrity and it started to feel really heavy. And that was when I knew I have to stop doing this. If any client came to me and told me this is something that I'm doing in my business and it feels heavy, it feels awful, and I hate it. And quite frankly, I'm actually no longer getting the results I used to get because that's what was wild about it too. Even though I had a track record of results from this, when I stopped doing it, I was no longer getting results. Of course, I was no longer getting results. It was no longer aligned. I no longer believed it was true, right? I no longer believe it would work for me. And I started hating and doing it. And that was exactly what the results dictated for me. And so I realized I had to do what I would tell any client to do, which is stop fucking doing that thing. And it was so hard because I was like, but first of all, what will I do with my time? Right. But, you know, how else am I going to do this? Like, I have to just create content and trust that people are going to reach out to me. Like, it felt like such a surrender because what I realized was outreach to me was a form of control. It was a way that I could earn and I could deserve and I could be good enough to get the business that was coming in. Look, I tortured myself today. I reached out to 30 people who didn't want to hear from me today. I did the hard thing. I ate the frog first. All the rules, all the lessons that we were taught about business, I was like, I'm doing that. I'm doing all the things that you told me to do, all the things that I hate doing because if I just suffer enough and I sacrifice enough, right? Like that's literally what I was doing to myself. And so when I stopped doing that, what was I supposed to do with my time? And I didn't even realize, guys, the mental gymnastics I would do when I had it on my list every single day to reach out to 10, 15, 20 people had been different numbers over the years, right? But like it was always the thing all day long that I hated, that I dreaded. And if I didn't get it done, I beat myself up the worst. Like I had no idea how much of my beautiful life force energy was being eaten out by this thing on my list that I hated. And again, like I said, wasn't getting the results and keeping this like feeling of just yuckiness and heaviness and shame alive in my business, right? Because there was the shame of I used to teach this to people. Like you're going to stop doing the things that you used to teach to people? Like what? It was like it was ingrained in my identity. There were so many layers in this for me, guys, to let go of this. Um, but I slowly did over time, right? I really slowly did. And then one day I was like, I'm just not doing that anymore. And now I really only do what I call personally, I call it intuitive outreach. So, and what that means is like if it comes to mind, like if there's somebody interacting with my content or somebody scrolls through a news feed or somebody's name pops into my head, I will send a text message or I will reach out or whatever, but it's not at all like it was. Like I don't track messages. There's no CRM. There's no goal number of people to reach out to every day. It's just like if somebody is in my awareness, I reach out. And sometimes those are people I know, and sometimes they're strangers. And yeah, sometimes it's awkward to be like, you don't know me, and I'm a weirdo. But it's over half of the time that I do this intuitively, I get a message back. It's like, oh my God, I was thinking about you. Oh my gosh, I've been meaning to reach out to you. Oh my gosh, somebody just mentioned your name the other day. Over half of the time. Like, so for me, that's now what it looks like. And so if it feels good, I follow the nudge. But the number of times where, 50 people will like a social media post and only two of them I get the nudge to reach out to, right? Like I don't get the nudge. Whereas again, in the past, it was like 50 people liked my stuff. I need to reach out to all 50 of those people and start conversations. And now it's just like intuitively, I reach out to this person and so it's just been very interesting. And what I have discovered is, as I figured I would, my business hasn't fallen apart. It is flourished, right? And it's because the energy behind it is clean. When I say I'm only doing things that I love, I'm only doing things that I love. And I don't love doing outreach. I do love intuitively reaching out to people as they come to mind. And again, it's not always business related. Sometimes it's a friend. Sometimes it's a family member. Sometimes it's a past client. Like I'm not reaching out to people to generate business. I'm reaching out to people because I believe there's a reason you're on my heart and you're on my mind. So sometimes it's just my girlfriends like, hey, you've been on my heart. Um, so that's really how outreach has evolved for me. And I've had to really build some new beliefs in the other things that I'm doing, right? Because again, I had so much power in outreach. I thought it was such a big part that I then had to go to work to build new beliefs, right? I had to now believe that my content was going to do the heavy lifting, that the alignment was going to make me magnetic. I had to really trust in my energy. And there was a lot of surrender in that. But the more that I surrender, the more fun it is, right? The more that I really truly feel that way about like, hey, my content is the best sales tool that I have. And so if I pour my time and energy and love and attention into it, it will do the work for you just like outreach did, right? The difference is that I love content creation. I think it's fun. I enjoy doing it. These types of conversations are my favorite thing to do. So it was just switching the way that I was thinking about it. And it has really been really fun to do it. Again, uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie to you and be like, oh yeah, it's butterflies and rainbows. I still have moments where I'm like, fuck, I need to do something, right? Like and I know it, but again, I know that's just the old program, the old conditioning, the old identity, the old like, hey, it's safe over here. Again, again, it goes into worthiness and all of that. And again, worthiness is a big part of business therapy. We talk about worthiness and that sort of stuff. It has this worthiness energy to it, again, of earning and deserving. So really what I want you to walk away from hearing this, and again, it might not be outreach for you, whatever it is, but if it doesn't feel good anymore, it's not required, right? It's not required. It's okay to change your mind. And what most of you are probably noticing is the thing in your life that is parallel to this conversation is actually something that you hate doing. Just like I learned that I started to hate doing it. And the more you hate doing something, the less likely you are to get a result, right? So another rule I don't follow anymore is I don't launch. I don't have a launch calendar. I don't follow a launch strategy. There is no 5-step check mark to this, and this, how I'm going to sell this program or that program. None of that exists in my business anymore. And I made literally my first million live launching. I was constantly in launch cycles every 6 to 8 weeks for probably the first 2 years of my business. So it was literally cold outreach to live launches, right? I would reach out to people. I would invite them to the events that I was hosting, and then that launch is how I would sell my programs. So that was the live launching. That's what it's called in the online space. And again, same thing. It worked. It worked very, very effectively for me. Again, I love creating content. I love being live with people. I don't mind selling, like it checked all the boxes, right? But then again, it started to feel disingenuous. It started to not work anymore. It started to feel manipulative. And I didn't have those words at the time, right? This is clearly with the information I have now. I can look back and be like, oh yeah, that's why live launching started to feel manipulative. Not manipulative in the way of giving the information away for free, right? That's actually why I still do a lot of like podcast series and different things like that for you guys, because I do love to teach in that fashion. That's actually why I believe live launching works so well for me, because teaching live is one of my favorite things to do, right? Like having interaction with people. It's why I love group coaching so much, right? Is I love that interaction with people, and I'm a manifesting generator, and I'm a responder by nature. So having that was really, really, really good for me. What started to feel disingenuous to me was the manipulation marketing, right? The countdown timers, the you must join now, the let me bring on 10 of my clients and tell you their amazing results, and started to like really jack up your energy in a way, or jack up people's energy, not your energy, in a way that started to feel manipulated, right? Like I knew that if I jack your energy up enough and I poke it, all of your weak spots enough, you will buy from me. And that's literally what live launching is called. And they call it, sales psychology and all that. And guys, I worked in sales and marketing for 20 years, right? Like there's no shade in this. It's what we're taught to do. But I was like, oof, no, like I don't want to manipulate people. If I have to manipulate people to buy from me, that is not something I'm willing to do. If I have to rely on you being so jacked up energetically on all the success stories I just shared and the countdown timer I put on the screen and the FOMO and the bonuses, and it's worth so much more than I'm actually selling it for, and I have to, if that's the way I have to get people to buy, it is a no for me. Because what I learned is when people buy from that energy, they enter my programs from that energy, and then they expect me to deliver in that energy. So like for me, the way it started to feel was I'm manipulating people. I'm manipulating their emotions to get them to buy from me. And then I'm stuck with the leftover emotions that I'm responsible for. Now I have to clean up that mess. Like there's no clean energetics in that. There's no transformation in that. Right. And so for me, it just was like, I can't do this anymore. Primarily because again, I don't want my clients coming to me in that energy. I want my clients coming to me in an energy of, I'm ready to do the work. I'm here because I want to be here. I'm here because I believe in this work that we're going to do together. I'm here because I believe that I'm going to, that we're going to walk shoulder to shoulder through this together. I'm here because this is something that I want, not something I've twisted your emotions to get in. And there are a lot of people who are like, yeah, but people, I'm like, I don't want to work with the general population that has to be emotionally manipulated to work with me. That is a no for me. So I stopped launching. Right. And so I share what I feel called to share. I talk about offers when I'm inspired to talk about offers. Um, and I don't manufacture urgency, right? I let your readiness lead. My clients come to me when they're ready, and they buy from me when they're ready. And it has felt so much better, because another thing that it just puts a lot of pressure on the business, right? Because if you think about this, I need people's buying cycles to line up with my launch cycles, which again creates this, I need, I now have an expectation of you. I'm in a launch cycle. I've manipulated you. I've created all this urgency. I put all this energy into it. I now need you to buy from me, right? Like, that's the energetics behind that. And then if somebody's in a launch cycle and they're not ready to buy, but now they feel like they need to buy now because my emotions have such created that for them. Again, we just begin with this push and pull. And I've learned that that's not it. And it has been amazing what has happened when I don't have clients join like that, when they join when they want to. The results are so much faster, right? Like, for the clients, the sales process is shorter, quite frankly, right? Like, everyone's like, this is the best thing ever. You can convert clients in 9 days. Like, I'm converting clients in 30-minute conversations or in 2 or 3 DMs back and forth, because they're coming to me, because I trust my clients. I trust people who find me on the internet to go out and to listen to this podcast, or to binge all my videos, or to join my Facebook group and watch my lives. Like, I trust people to go out and do the things that they need to do and make a buying decision. Sometimes when I feel excited, I'm like, hey, I want to create this training series and make an offer at the end. I do that, which is, again, some of the training series and stuff you've seen in the podcast. I've done this inside of my Facebook group before. But you'll notice in those, there's no big, wild, and heavy emotional pitch. There's no, here's all of my clients. It's just, here's where I call to share. And this is the type of work we do in business therapy, or this is the type of work I'm doing in energy shift, or this is the type of work that I'm doing with my clients, and they're all access, right? So, but it's just been so much better. My client relationships have been better, not to mention my nervous system feels better, because I'm not constantly ramping up my emotions too, right? Like, it's not just ramping up buyer's emotions, it's ramping up my emotions. I go on that emotional roller coaster too. And I don't want to live on an emotional roller coaster anymore. I would like to have a regulated nervous system. I would like to have I would like to have business coming into my, or clients coming into my business all the time, not just during life, like launch cycles, and then having to manage my nervous system between launches. So, had to become okay with the discomfort of letting go of campaigns and structure, and replace it with trust. Not just trusting in marketing and trusting in social media, but like trusting in people enough to know that you're going to buy when you're ready to buy. And I don't have to manipulate your emotions to make that happen. Right. I have to, that was a lot of trust, because I didn't have I learned, guys, that I didn't have a very high opinion of the people that I was selling to. And it's hard to have a high opinion of somebody who you believe that you can manipulate into giving you money. Right. It's very hard if you fully, like, see somebody eye to eye as a peer, as somebody to do that for me, right? Like, I don't want to talk about other people. I want to talk about myself in this moment. So, but and this was so uncomfortable, because again, the online space created this program in my head that, like, this was required, this was necessary. Everybody who's anybody is launching, right? Like, everybody that you follow on social media, all the gurus and all that, they all launch, they all have these launch cycles, and the open and closed carts and programs and all that. And so it's, you can see all these people having all of this success. And again, also my own track record of success, and being like, but I still don't want to run my business that way, and managing my emotions around that. Right. And really trusting that alignment and belief are, the number one priorities, and that it's not about a funnel. It's not about a funnel. It's never been about a funnel. If you like funnels, game on. But most people that I talk to actually don't like that particular rule, or that particular, belief system in business. So I just simply stopped doing it. And again, it's simple, but not easy, right? Like, stop doing it. Yeah, okay. But again, still that program, my body was still addicted in the beginning to that dopamine hit of that run, of that rush, of that, high, 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 high that you would get in that. And so having to let it be okay to level that out and not have those high, 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 high highs, but just have, consistent wins. But again, a regulated nervous system, consistent wins, consistent revenue. That's what I'm building in my business. And so again, if how I'm going to build it is how it's going to feel and how it's going to grow, launch cycles and those dopamine hits and all of that, again, that just created chaos and drama. And I don't want a business with chaos and drama. So I had to let go of the launch cycle for me personally. Some people, it works for them and they love it and that's fun and they love, yeah, if I pour 90 days into a launch, I can make a couple $100,000 and I don't have to work for the next 90 days. Like that's cool. That does not work for me. Right. And then the final rule that I wanted to share today with you guys is that I cleared my calendar. I do not keep a packed calendar anymore. I don't do it. And again, this was a really challenging one for me going back into my corporate days because a full calendar was a sign of progress. A full calendar was a sign of opportunities. A full calendar was an indicator of success, right? When we go into the mind game and the really traditional numbers driven way of building business, having 10 new, we used to call them needs assessments back in my radio days, having 10 needs assessment every week on my calendar, knowing that, three of them would ask for proposals and one of them would become a client. Like that was the sales math I was told. Book 10 appointments, three people will ask for proposals, one will become a client. And if you do that week after week after week after week, right, you'll have enough momentum where your business will be popping in a meaningful way. But here's what wound up happening, guys. Every morning I woke up and I would look at my calendar and I just felt dread. Even the things that I know, like, hey, when I get into that meeting, it's going to feel good, but there's just so much on the calendar. And so, like, networking calls, friendly coffees, PRs, like, they just started to feel like pressure. And so I really started working on clearing my calendar. And again, very counterintuitive because what was funny is the more white space that was on my calendar, the more time I had to say yes to the things. So not only did I have to clear my calendar, I then had to flex the discipline muscle of saying no. And just because I don't want to, right? Like I used to be able to tell people like, no, I'm sorry, I can't, let you uh pick my brain because my schedule is really full, right? Like you say, I have an excuse to say no to people. I don't have that excuse to say no to people anymore because my calendar isn't full. So when I say no to somebody, I have to say no. I mean, I don't have to say, but I have to face myself and say no because I don't want to, right? Like that is not an aligned move for me. And then it feels like I'm rejecting people and that's not my intention at all. But I really have to prioritize my own alignment. So this almost had like a little bit of a double whammy to it, right? It was letting go of the obsession with busyness, the obsession with, the amount of activity on the calendar being a direct correlation to revenue, on top of now having to face myself when I tell somebody that I'm not taking that meeting or taking that appointment or guesting on that podcast or having that coffee chat simply because it's not aligned. So, like, this was one that I really, really had to work through quite a bit for myself because it brought up so much resistance. And then on top of those two things, I restructured my offers, right? I restructured my offers. So my one-on-one work now is no longer booked calls on my calendar. It's all in Messenger. And again, that was hard for me to wrap my head around as well, because most people, if you look at coaches and consultants and therapists and, all the things, obviously I'm not a licensed therapist or counselor, but, all of that, it's you have your weekly appointment and you go talk to your therapist and that's all well and good. Or you go talk to your coach or you go talk to your mentor, you have the one-on-one with your boss, right? If you're in a corporate role. Um, and but what I'm learning and experiencing, so not only is this freeing up my calendar and giving me time to be creative, it's also been really powerful for my clients. Like I'm seeing clients get faster shifts in my 7-day container. So when you with my one-on-one work is called energy shift and you can either book a day, a week, or a month, right? Well, I'm finding people like the progress we're making in 7 days is bananas. That in a weekly call, I don't know if we would have made that same progress because again, it's in the moment. I actually had a client voice me in this morning, and she's like, it's always happening now. It's always happening now, right? And so for me, not only did it allow me to clear my calendar and be able to serve clients from anywhere, I can be on a walk in the woods trading messengers with clients, right? Like I can be at the pool with my kids trading messages with clients. I could be folding laundry, trading messages with clients. So I'm serving people, but I'm also serving them in real time. So now my clients aren't having to wait 7 days to get, their next conversation with me. So not only again did I clear my calendar, but now my clients are getting better results. And this is just such a proof of like intuition, right? Like it was an intuition, clear your calendar, start offering programs in this way. But again, I wasn't really trusting myself. I'm like, why isn't everybody offering programs in this way, right? Why isn't everybody offering one-on-one support in this way? If this was going to be effective, right, everybody would be doing it. That was the conversation happening in my head. But of course, once I started doing it and enrolling people in these programs, I'm like, holy fucking bananas, this is amazing. It's great for me, but it's also great for them, right? It's win-win-win, right? Good for you, good for me, and then of course good for the business, good for all of that. So it's been so cool. And now my calendar is for I have an all access pass offer, which is like the whole kit and caboodle. You get full, pretty much unfettered access to me. I do one-on-one calls with those people, and then I have a few clients who are grandfathered in who I was doing calls with before I made this shift. But that's really it. And then my group coaching containers. I have a couple of group coaching programs I run as well. So my calendar is not very full, which is really amazing. But it's also uncomfortable. Even today, I'm sitting here recording this for you, and I literally have nothing on my calendar today, and I don't have a super long to-do list today of things that I need to get accomplished. And I can feel a little bit of the discomfort of what are you going to do this afternoon? And the answer is I'm probably gonna, do some breath work and do some meditating and do a little bit of managing my mind. I'm working on a new book, which I'm going to roll out to you guys soon, so I'm probably going to do some of that. But still, it is still a conscious thing that I have to lean into, that it is okay to have white space on my calendar. And just because there's white space on my calendar and I'm not being productive in the way the world tells me I should be productive if I want to grow a multi-million dollar company, I still have to, I'm still working through that energy work, right? But again, my business has not suffered from any of these changes. They've grown. Again, my clients are getting faster messages, right? I'm able to be more creative. I'm able to create when I want to create and talk to clients when I'm at my best, right? So it's like, this creating space has become my strategy, right? And really understanding stillness is a power play. There is power in giving myself time to create. These three shifts, guys, that I made, these three rules that I stopped following: no outreach, no launches, no jammed calendar. Of course they were scary, right? My nervous system was like, what the fuck are you doing? But all they really did was give me the space to find the clarity of what I was looking for, right? What I'm really looking for is an intuitively led business. And that is so uncomfortable for me to say because what the fuck is an intuitively led business? Like, what are you doing with your life? That's not a thing. We run businesses, through systems and processes and operations and numbers and scalability and repeatable processes, and it must look like everybody else is doing it. Like, who are you? Like, seriously, sometimes, guys, it still comes up, right? But I learned that this is actually what I want. I want a business that is wildly successful, and I want to do things that I love every day, and I want my clients to get amazing fucking results. And as long as I stay focused on those three things, that is what continues to happen for me, right? But I also want to be really, really clear. I am not saying that the three things that I just broke down are not good things to do. It's that they stopped being aligned for me. One of the things that I think is so important on personal development work, very specifically for those of you that I will get an opportunity to support on your journey, is that I don't tell my clients how to run their businesses, right? It is not my job to tell you how to run your business. I am here to help you build and run a business or a career, right? A lot of my clients have jobs as well. Build what you want in a way that is aligned to you. It doesn't matter what's aligned to me. You may love launching. That might be something that excites you so much. You may get so much joy from networking or outreach or being in rooms full of people in that way. Like, if that's what brings you joy and gives you energy, keep doing it. And that's really the message that I want you to get from this particular podcast, is that it's not what I'm talking about. It's not the activity I'm talking about. It's the energy behind the activity, right? I explained to you how the activity started to make me feel. And when things don't feel good, they're not going to get us the results that we want. It is law, right? Universal law says what you put out, you get back. So it doesn't matter how hard you work. If you are working really hard at something that you hate, and the energy that you bring into that task is not energy that is aligned with the result that you want, it doesn't matter how hard you work, right? So I'm not telling you to ditch a strategy or structure, right? It's about asking yourself, am I doing this because I think that I have to? Am I doing this because I'm afraid if I stop doing this that I won't get what I want? That is what I want you to ask yourself, right? Because when I stopped doing what I thought I had to, right, and really building a business that started to feel good, that's when things really changed for me, right? Because I was really able to be creative and have fun and be myself and show up in a really meaningful way. And I'm still learning what that means, right? But I just hope that this is a little bit of a permission slip for you. I hope that there is something in here that you're able to get a nugget of like, where is this thing, this structure, this rule that I'm really holding on to that I'm ready to let go of. Um, and if this episode resonates with you, please, screenshot it, tag me on Instagram or wherever you are. What is one rule you're really ready to stop following? Right. And if you haven't joined us yet, if you're not inside of our Facebook group, it's called the Backstage Pass. I go even deeper into the behind the scenes, guys. I know it's kind of wild to think about because I share so much publicly, but I really tell a little bit more of my thought processes and the things that I'm realizing and things that I'm just not ready to share with the world just yet. So you can come join us in that space. Come on over there. There's even bigger, like I said, behind the scenes and different teachings and ideas like that. So I will see you there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this community, and I'll see you in the next episode.